Support for WCBU's On Deck comes from Jaguar Land Rover Peoria on Allen Road. Special offers available on nearly every new Jaguar with personalized service throughout purchasing and ownership. Jaguar, a proud luxury and performance brand. More at jaguarlandroverpeoria.com.
A local author launches a sequel. That's just one of the things you'll want to hear about to start your day for Thursday, August 29th. I'm Colin Shope, and this is WCBU's On Deck. First on deck today, talks to solidify plans for a new landfill in Peoria County are close to reaching a resolution after long delays. WCBU's Joe Deacon reports.
At first, the search for a previously unknown mine halted the construction of Landfill 3 in Peoria County. Then contractual issues almost resulted in litigation. Now, Peoria City Manager Patrick Urich says the city and GFL Environmental are progressing toward an agreement to have the new landfill open by 2035.
That decreases the amount of time that we would operate the transfer station from 15 years to 10 years.
Urich says GFL will utilize a Pottstown transfer station beginning in March of 2026. He says putting this plan in action will lower disposal costs by around $40 per ton.
Ultimately, it should be about $1,600,000 decrease in the amount of money that we're spending on our disposal costs.
This week, the City Council withdrew 2 agenda items related to the landfill issue at Urich's request. He says the City, Peoria County, and Landfill Committee are expected to vote on a final proposal during September meetings. For WCBU's On Deck, I'm Joe Deacon.
Here are some other stories we're following in the WCBU newsroom. Illinois' soybean crop is almost ready to harvest and under attack by deer. And former WTVP president and CEO Chet Tomczyk will serve as the city of Peoria's treasurer until the next election. You can find more of these stories and all the details at WCBU.org. Pride and Persistence is the second installment of Peoria author Joe Shinakis' series about Aiden Roth, a gay high school student who loves martial arts. Shinakis tells WCBU's Tim Shelley where the story picks up after Aiden gets a boyfriend.
When we go into book 2, the school is now reacting to, oh my gosh, we have these queer teenage kids who came out, and they don't know how to react. They're used to a more traditional conservative don't tell, type of environment. And so the reaction in the second book is to institute don't say gay policies. We've seen that around the world. I'm trying to mirror this sort of as a warning. Like if we take a step back and you institute policies like this in schools, here's what's going to happen. But our heroes, my queer teenage heroes, are going to fight back against those policies. We're going to have some surprising adult heroes come out from behind the corner to stand up and fight with them as well. So it continues that queer Karate Kid action story. It continues the love story, but it mirrors so much of what's happening in real time, and that's why I'm so excited to get it out there.
Let me just ask, Pride and Persistence, is that a play on Jane Austen?
Yeah, and I also love alliteration. So, the first book, Singlets and Secrets, second, Pride and Persistence. Book 3, working title is Fearless and Fabulous. So we'll see how that goes.
So the second book, you actually also introduced a new major character named Michelle, and Michelle is a transgender woman. Tell me a little bit about the development of this character.
Yeah, this is so important to me because the tagline of book 2, the tagline of Pride and Persistence is, what are we fighting for if not each other? And when I was writing this, so many different memories kind of came up. The biggest being, I grew up as a gay teenager who wasn't out, but I remember every single time I saw a straight person stand up for the LGBTQ community, it was the most inspiring thing ever. And I gravitate towards people who build up others instead of tearing down others. And we've come a long way in the LGBTQ community. Don't get me wrong, we have legalized marriage. I don't take that for granted, but that's a wonderful victory. But we've still got a long way to go. And what I see happening right now are too many attacks on the transgender community, on genderqueer kids, and I don't get it. What is wrong with these weird people attacking children and attacking young people who are trying to figure out who they are? The reason the transgender character is introduced right away is because I want to say, as a gay man who is not transgender, I need to be standing up for all individuals in our community. And I want all allies to recognize when people are simply being cruel and to stand up for what's right.
Without giving too much of the story away, the central conflict, I guess, is that Aiden approaches Michelle, wants her to join his karate club, and she says, I'm already in an MMA club, which is actually kind of a hotbed for anti-LGBTQ sentiment in this community, right?
Oh, yeah, Tim, I love my twists, right? You remember, I used to love how R.L. Stine described how you write. You have the introduction, you have the middle, and you have the twist. I did that in book 1. I have a lot of twists, I think, at the end that may have surprised people. But in book 2, I'm starting with a twist. Yeah, Aiden gets word that, oh my God, we're getting a transgender student at this school. And she's also a black belt. Like, she's this really amazing martial artist that is joining this community. And of course, he and his friends want to protect her and guard her from the bullying that they faced in the previous year, because they're refusing to let what happened in the past happen again. That's why I call these characters our heroes, is they are really fighting for each other. But yes, the twist is they go up to Michelle, and Michelle's like, oh, I already signed up with the school before I even got here. And the person who's running the school happens to be the villain from book 1. So it's like, oh my gosh, how is she going to fit in there? How are they going to treat her? That school is the rivalry of Aiden and his friends. So how will he be friends with people who are his rivals? And you know what? This is the whole point. I don't care whose team you're on. I don't care what your political affiliation is. You know, the big message here is we shouldn't be fighting our friends. And I hope that that's a message that is learned throughout this story. But to get there, we're going to have a lot of fun and twists and turns. And I think people might get mad at me here and there. But that's the idea, is that I'm going to create some things that might stir a little controversy, and that the heroes that we loved in the first book, what if they become the bullies to a certain extent because they're so mad at what's happening in their community?
Now, before we let you go, WCBU's On Deck podcast is retiring after tomorrow, but you can still hear the WCBU news features you love beginning Monday with WCBU Reports. Those segments will air during Morning Edition at 6:45 and 8:45 a.m. WCBU Reports will also be available wherever you get your podcasts.